just be sort of a journal entry and to the concepts of reality and the realms of scent, love, sex, and everything else that goes along with it. The issue that I have a lot with creating these sort of discussions or storylines is one, the algorithm does not push it, especially long form films. Videos that I make. And these things cannot be rushed, just like getting into certain concepts can't be rushed. So it creates this weird reality. Do I even post this? But I will post it. So in creating concepts of scent stories and films and looking at books and wanting to create stories and trying to modernize it, I just realized that this particular reality through the modern culture, that took a long time to get here. One, the smushing down of muses and the deletion of muses, and then the women that bring in these energies have created a void of basically a bunch of nothingness. But not a cool nothingness of like you think of nothing and soon something will become. It's utilitarian, it's washed out, it is fluorescent lights, it is the empty shelves, it's metal shelves that you go into Walmart and you think that you're shopping, but really you're in a warehouse. It is the lack of real materials, the understanding of different scents and how real sandalwood is supposed to smell. Just waking up into a reality that it's already simulated, like we literally see through at a base level through different rays of color, and that's it, like red, blue, yellow, and green. And then there's wavelengths outside of our perception of reality. And so is smell, and these things are real, and that's how we got here, is because we can tap into the unknown and to be able to survive. But as far as love goes, there is no real concept of love or romance. I think they like to fake it, and it usually has to do with first meeting someone, but they really don't show you the real concepts of being in a relationship, like the ideal of money, the ideal of generosity on the male's part, of benefactoring. Do you ever see a male admiring a woman for who she is, investing in her art and her expression, even if the art never goes onto a canvas and it's just her, she's the canvas? Rarely you ever see that. Even in transactional type relationships, they rarely ever show these concepts. It's far advanced and it's beyond human perception at their level. So let's talk about sense. This is very, very sensitive to people. People believe in politics. Politics is not real. The true elevation of oneself is not change a political party. It is a spiritual concept, not the Joe Rogan concept, because they never heed to the muses. They never elevate the muses. They look at women as people that exist in this world, and maybe somehow they benefit from them being here, and that's it. But they don't understand, or perhaps they do want to really concentrate on the fact that women are the gateway into other worlds, and not all women are equal. They don't. Not everybody has the same perception of this reality. Okay. And then the people that do have this perception often fall into the super how do you say it? Maternal or anti-maternal, and it goes into politics. Okay. Servitude sort of feels of things. They feel like they need to sacrifice. And if you think about nunneries, you see the same concepts of nunneries with these people. They are obsessed with sacrifice, obsessed with not having luxurious things, and they usually focus on one thing if they do have something that is a bit expensive. But they are just not there. That is attracted to them, to like not wear any makeup or wear makeup they redeem to be attractive, and not to actively attract someone. They're just really not on the same wavelength of understanding these higher concepts. And then you have the other, some of the indigenous, surviving indigenous, more religion, where women are cast down into more servitude, even though they may have positions. They might not understand this, but they are pushed down into servitude. But let's go beyond that and go into scents. So Shalimar is considered the first Oriental U.S. perfume, but this is synthetic. So even if it has like a particular notes of, like, let's say, I don't know, sandalwood. Indian sandalwood is not used in perfumery anymore. Very restrictive because of the restrictions. So you have, they call Australian sandalwood, but it's not the same scent. It's not the same type of smell. And then of course the musk and everything else that goes along with it. What you're smelling is not an Oriental perfume. It is a simulation of synthetic aroma chemicals that may have some naturals in it, but mostly synthetic, that they then create a view of what Oriental is, but they don't present it that way. So when you smell this sort of perfume, you think that that's Oriental perfume. That's not Oriental perfume. It's the same experience what I had with food and some wine, where I'm thinking, no, this is wine. It's not really wine. I had to actually research wine in the US versus real wine, and then the concept of levels of wine. And you don't really hit real wine until you actually get to a certain price point. And if you get to a certain price point, it doesn't mean that you got a good year. So you have to really pay attention and have insider knowledge to understand even the concept of wine, even though it says wine on there. What is champagne? To go into a concept of what champagne is. You know, champagne is heavily regulated. That's something you can get for about $50 to still get from France, from region of Champagne, and actually get a pretty good value out of it, just because of how restrictive it is, and the standards have to be that high. Versus U.S., where they will put label cheese, and when it's not cheese, and you think that that's cheese, that's not cheese. It is a simulation of something, and it's not even remotely connected to any sort of real reality. So I could spend my whole life not liking Oriental perfume, not liking wine, not liking a certain kind of material, thinking that these things are real, and they are nothing. They are just manipulations from a society. And they want to blame institutions, but it is themselves that is the problem. When you set yourself up to be in a position, let's say politically or not politically, to set it up to where people admire you, and you do not take the time to educate them on perfumery, on everything that goes into it, and say, well, this is what they can afford, so that should be good enough for them. This sort of obsession with sacrifice that they have, obsession with not putting themselves into a higher arena of attraction, but trying to get people to be attracted to what they think should be attractive. It's very odd concept, right? So it's kind of going back to nunnery thing, where, you know, these types of dudes should not be attracted to these women, and they should be attracted to virtue or whatever else. And all you need to do is just change what it is. They should be attracted to women who think like this or do this, and they should naturally want to do this, and be self-sacrificing, all this other weird stuff that they feel like they have to impose on people. And often it is polarizing. There are males that are just odd, or have no connection to muses, no connection to feminine, have never been taught the understanding or higher connection. And even if they were, that doesn't mean that they would ever care or consider tapping into that, because that requires you as a male to be on a higher level than all the ayahuasca guys, higher level than all the Tibetan monks. You could be higher than them just by tapping into the muses. That's it. And the muse is already here on earth. So not just what you're talking about in your mind, but actually the mirror of that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You would be knights and be out there doing whatever. But there is an ultimate reason why it's like this. So we also go tie this into the census and what is romance, what is not romance, right? So going out to just a nice place doesn't translate into a romantic dinner. Romance and romanticizing like a person is a male concept. That is for the male to do. He is to bring perfumes, clothes, roses, raw. If you want raw materials that you like to make things out of for yourself, needs to be for yourself. He is to bring it. It needs to be expensive and hard to get on the anticipation that he will see you. These are all very, 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 very important things. That's why they like to go on these spiritual trips, because these spiritual trips is not something that they can just do. Like for me, I don't need to do ayahuasca because I have a natural DMT. Is that the dream molecule in my brain, in my mind, in my dream sleep, in my dream states? I have these big epic dreams. So I don't need to go on these trips. I experience them. And then I live in a completely different arena. I see the world in a completely different way. Like an artist, but like way, way, way up there in outer space. And because I have my own cycles, you can't live in a territorial world like this one, which they want you to go and they want you to eat like fake food or MRA food, whatever they call it, the survival food, and the survival food is actually the fast food. That's probably less preservatives in it, but it has a high shelf life and genetically modified stuff to fit into their cycles because they want you to rush from here to there. The muse is the absolute opposite, is to ponder and wonder and connect to your environment. And men can connect to their environment, but the wonder, the woman, your gateway that you get in here has another connection. But most of the people that they have cultivated down here, especially the ones that are in power of the anti-culture, which means the anti-traditional, have no connection to this. They pretend to, unfortunately, but they have no connection to it. You have to do a little bit more connecting. It's not work. Connecting. Also, all the spiritual systems are not made for women, they're made for men. So it has to do a lot with sacrifice and letting material things go. Women already understand this. This is like self-sacrifice, all this stuff that they do, they already understand it, letting things go, blah, blah, blah. Maybe not letting like past problems go, but like self-sacrificing, they will do. They will work 2-3 jobs. They will do all these it's nothing. Sustaining from this, sustaining from that. It's stuff that they very well like. What is a challenge for that, or not sustaining for it? Not sustaining or withholding yourself and just allowing these whoever to come in that gives you a compliment, or you so happen to project something that you like about that person, but your life never changes. They never help you. It's not even help. It's just to do. They never see you in a bad situation and change your situation for the better. And the film, The Name of the Rose, when they were having that conversation about the difference between lust and love, and he said, I want to help her situation. That means he wants to take her from her poverty. And then the other dude, which is the older man, said, well, you do love her. Okay, so that changes the concept of the horror concept, right? Because most people think horror concept is transactional. It's actually sacrifice, because you're sacrificing yourself for nothing. I hope that makes sense. So you get a reality that you don't create, and a simulation of something that never existed. And then you go out and experience the real thing. If you're able to travel and this particular forest hasn't cultivated you and pushed you into like a tourist area, you're able to perhaps experience something else different. So how do you get out of this system? How do you say, okay, I don't want to be in a system. I want to elevate from here. Well, I don't know. We have to see the dynamic of how this video performs. I don't think it's going to perform very well. So I'm not going to go into the how, when, where, and how, but I will state that this is what the reality is. And this is sort of the wrap up and a milestone of realization of the Western culture. And that's all I have to say.